Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Richard Lewis Show. I'm your host, Richard Lewis, and joining me, as he always does, is indeed producer Sam, pressing the buttons, choosing the tunes, and occasionally chipping in with some laughter. How are you doing, Sam?
Good, man. Good. Feeling fresh.
Good. You're feeling fresh. I'm starting to feel it, man. The pace of doing the show every day. When you get to my age, it's I don't know, this is tough. This is a lot tougher than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I've got a renewed respect for streamers now.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's Friday, mate. All right. Nice weekend.
Is it?
We're out. No, it's definitely
Friday?
Thursday.
Yeah, it's Thursday, mate. I was going to say, fuck.
Tripping out.
Feeling fresh. Friday, innit? No, it's not, Sam.
Friday somewhere, mate.
He's still got one more day to do. And, mate, you spammed me out there. Do you remember that time?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Tell that story, Sam. Tell that story, 'cause this was real bad.
When we were doing that Phantom World stuff, we had a meeting with a lawyer to discuss how the case was going and stuff. And it was on a Tuesday or something at 2 p.m. And the night before, we were like, Richard, all right, see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Yeah, I'll be able to record that call. Yeah, sounds see you.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there and we're waiting for him to call. And it's like, where's this guy? Fucking lawyers. Look how bullshit they are. Full just wrecking him. Look at this. Fucking keeping us waiting. We're sitting here waiting for this cunt. So we call him. And I was like, oh, is he? He's like, oh, he's just in a meeting a sec. I'm going to have to call you back. I was like, oh, fucking hell. Look at him double schedule it. He calls back. He goes, yeah, so that meeting was Tuesday. Yeah? We were like, yeah. He's like, yeah. It's Monday. We're just like, yeah, whoops, we wrote it down wrong, we have.
The mad thing about that story is, though, we were both convinced. I was utterly convinced it was Tuesday. Utterly, though, in my brain. I was, completely convinced it was Tuesday. You were convinced it was Tuesday. I don't understand how both people can, get the fucking day wrong, talk to each other, interact with each other. There's no telltale signs. We're sat at our computers. Everything was Tuesday. Madness. And then we went to rehab.
Yeah.
And then we went to rehab. So look, I got lots of stuff to talk about, various bits and pieces. Doing some follow-ups on some other stories that we've kind of touched upon. I did want to bring you an update from Evergreen. All right. One of our Discord regulars sent me a Reddit thread, which people who are in the kind of campus that don't subscribe to this crazy mob were posting in the Evergreen subreddit, and it's fucking madness. I mean, the things they are saying that is going on campus, it's actually worse than you think. So let me just find this. So there's a user on there. Hang on, there's a lot of comments. Right. So here we go. Being a student on Evergreen. The struggle is real. Everyone is probing everyone else, trying to gauge who will join them in echo chambering. I have one of the most proponent protesters in my classes, and the amount of passive-aggressive and superiority, oh honey, is unreal. I'm trying to focus on science, rise above, which I believe is a quote from Rick and Morty. But apparently what's going on this campus is the group of protesters are now trying to co-opt other students, and they're approaching them in groups and saying, will you support our protest at Evergreen? And these regular students are just like, well, we're not saying no, but we're not saying yes. Is it Tuesday? Is it going to be Friday? You know what I mean? This regular was asking them questions, and just look at that. When asked, why aren't they doing anything? It says nothing. They said nothing is certain. The only thing you can be sure of on this campus is you're going to get nailed to the wall if you go against the grain. For example, any conservative kids in all of my classes. I'm not going to risk getting my car keyed or my tires slashed or getting a monster drink spilled on me just to stick up against something that anywhere other than Evergreen people are laughing at and think it's a hyperbolic parody. So the question is then, is that thing happening on campus regularly? And yes, people have gotten into scuffles. One guy was caught on camera, which is the clip we showed, where a guy put Limp Bizkit over a meme that a protester had written up there. He was assaulted and his glasses thrown on the ground. Students are outside the campus stopping cars as they come in, asking for the names of people, saying they're looking for a friend. And the phrase punch a Nazi has become super common. And you see these people a lot. They sling the term Nazi, racist, and bigot around to demonize people. Follow-up question: where are the police while all this is going on? Because obviously it's a college. They've got police on campus, right? The police have been ordered off campus or have been barricaded inside their station. And they've been told by the faculty to not stir the pot, as in do actual police work. And the final thing this user says is, we're hoping that it's going to change because apparently Brett Weinstein's going to go on Joe Rogan this weekend.
Yeah.
And they think the situation will blow up even bigger and there'll be more pressure on the faculty to act. So it's worse than we thought, Sam, is the point. I mean, you know, again, it's a bit early in the fucking day for kung fu, isn't it? Right? Bit early in the day for fucking hyperbole. But this is terrorism, isn't it? I mean, this is madness. You've got groups of people walking around campus, approaching anybody who enters the campus. Who are you? Do you know the secret password and the secret handshake? Are you a Nazi? Do you want to get punched? Do you want to get fucked up? The police themselves are barricaded, away, and are being told, don't leave your sanctuary to actually go and arrest these people. What the fuck are we going to... Honestly, good question, right? I'm going to write an article. Evergreen, is it time for napalm? I think that's a valid question at this point. Do we need to call in an airstrike? Because this is fucking ridiculous. This is beyond ridiculous. You've got students who are just trying to fucking learn, literally in class. They don't want their property destroyed. They don't want to be assaulted. They don't want drinks poured over them. And they're trying to focus. And you've got a group who are like, yeah, so you need to support us, yeah, or we're going to do all of those negative things. Come on, guys, this is ridiculous. Now, I did more reading on Evergreen. Evergreen apparently is an experimental educational institution. They're doing it a new way, a way that breaks away from the college traditions in America, a way that teaches for potential students that couldn't integrate into a normal school. I think that's a noble goal, but I think at this stage we can say the experiment has failed. And maybe, just maybe, a state-funded college shouldn't be bending the fucking knee for the developmentally fucked up at the expense of the majority of students who just want to go there, learn, and graduate. Because this is a minority. This is a very vocal and violent minority. By all accounts, the majority of students don't support this, aren't interested in this. They just want to learn, So I think at this point, yeah, you've got to fucking, if these people can't integrate with a normal school without assembling a mob and threatening everybody, maybe you need to be in a fucking young offenders school or something. Go there. You're obvious. There is nothing in this world that says your issues should be the priority in a normal institution. You're the one that's abnormal by any metric. Why the fuck are we changing things to suit you? That makes no sense. I'm not talking about putting in a handy-capable ramp, by the way. I'm talking about completely changing how we approach things that are completely unacceptable in any civilized society. And mob justice being meted out to people who have wrongthink isn't what we do in a Western democracy. It's not what we do. It's non-compatible with our ideals. So I'm amazed at some of the things I've been reading. But the good news is, like I say, I think if that Joe Rogan thing is accurate, Brett Weinstein is going to go on Joe Rogan, and I think with all politicians already discussing whether or not we should defund Evergreen, I actually think this is the torch paper that's going to burn away a lot of this campus craziness. In fact, just to link, you remember we talked about Middlebury as well. That was the one with the assault that happened at Middlebury College. They basically fought, again, if you didn't see this, because it was just briefly mentioned in one of our shows, there was a guy there called Charles Murray and Alison Stanger, or it might be Stanger, apologies if I'm mispronouncing her name, and they were going to talk there just about, I think it was immigration, some hot button topic, sure, something with the potential to be inflammatory, sure. I mean, I think Charles Murray is quite a fucking benign presence in the discussion about the integration of Islam in Europe. Charles Murray is basically of the opinion that, unless Islam has some sort of reformation, it's going to really struggle to integrate into the West. I don't necessarily agree with that viewpoint. But anyway, that's his viewpoint. And he brings data out and he talks about it. It's not like Richard Spencer getting up and dropping the old 1488, right? It's not like that. So when he went to speak at Middlebury with Alison Stanger, they got booed off stage. And then when they were going to an area to do a streamed version of the speech, a mob formed around them and assaulted them and pretty much ended the speech there. Now, as a result of that, there was 67 students disciplined. Again, you'll see these mobs, 50, 67, gives you a rough idea of the percentage of crazies on campuses. Not as big as you'd think, actually. I was ready to write off the entire American college system. When I see how small these numbers actually are, it does give me hope. If everyone else would just grow a fucking backbone and stand up to these fucking pussies, we wouldn't have a fucking problem. But so they all got token punishments across the board, and now people are paying attention. This Evergreen issue. Now people are paying attention to what happened at Middlebury. The Washington Post dropped a fucking baller headline today. Let me just see if I can bring this up, because archive.is is playing up at the moment. Here it is. Right. So this might be a little bit slow to open, Sam, but feel free. So this is over at the Washington Post, and it was an opinion piece over there by Richard Cohen. And it says, protesters at Middlebury College demonstrate cultural appropriation of fascism. And it talks about how, again, the college system is shutting out any vaguely controversial speakers. Let me just read what it says here. Last week, Middlebury disciplined 67 students for what happened that night. Some were put on probation. Others were cited with the college equivalent of a demerit that will go on their permanent record. All in all, a slap on the wrist for students who deserved something more severe. Their offences were not incidental. They had trifled with freedom of speech, academic freedom, and not incidentally the health of a professor who was merely trying to facilitate the implementation of those rights. Charles Murray is controversial. He is not an Ebola carrier. Middlebury's disgrace was one of several incidents this year in which controversial or studiously obnoxious speakers were either run off campuses or were intimidated from coming. These include Ann Coulter, Milo Yiannopoulos in the first category, as well as Heather McDonald and Murray, conservative scholars with interesting, if provocative, things to say. McDonald, the author of War on Cops, is a critic of the Black Lives Matter movement, for example. Now, on it goes. And he talks a lot about, this is quite interesting, actually. Maybe, as some have argued, campus intolerance is escalating in reaction to President Trump. He has a pugnacious effect that encourages a like reaction. He wants to silence the critical press. He dismisses his critics as losers. He is always spoiling for a fight, and not necessarily a fair one either. But Trump's simian behavior is no excuse for violence. The Vietnam War engendered the same sort of fascistic response. In the name of a good cause, ending the war, the occasional protester set off the occasional bomb. One ostensibly directed at the University of Wisconsin's cooperation with the Defense Department nearly demolished Sterling Hall on the Madison campus. It killed a physics researcher whose work was entirely unconnected with the Pentagon. Not that it matters any. The mad, arrogant virtue that animated the bombers is little different than what drove Manchester's suicide bomber to wantonly kill kids at the Ariana Grande concert in England. Spare us the true believers. I have known Stanger a bit over the years. To me, she personifies the scholarly life. Fluent in Russian, don't tell Louise Mensch. Fluent in Czech, fluent in critical ideas. She has her politics, avowedly democratic, but she agreed to moderate the discussion with Murray solely because she believes in the robust exchange of views. Now she suffers because some protesters thought they were entitled to silence Murray and injure her. Middlebury got a black eye, Stanger got concussion, and we all got a warning. Now that is a fucking powerful piece of writing. Okay? And let me tell you that what Evergreen is doing and what Middlebury has achieved is the left, the liberals, or rather the liberal hardcore, the liberal foundation that maybe had some sympathies to the leftist movement. And I retweeted an interesting tweet the other day that discussed the difference, and that is the difference is a liberal wants you to just live your life and they'll leave you the fuck alone. A leftist wants to lecture you about the right way to live your life, enforce it, and punish you if you don't. There's a divide now. The right is against both, but increasingly free speech libertarians, free speech conservatives, they're finding common ground with the true liberals. Meanwhile, the leftists are getting pushed out to fucking radical island and they're just going to be out there alone. That's good news. That's a return to common sense values. That's a return to a centrist position suddenly being viable. And the college crazies are helping us achieve that and actually helping us, heal academically and intellectually in a way that the radicals on both sides can no longer disrupt. Middlebury and Evergreen are going to be the launch pad, the accelerator to fixing campuses across America. From now on, and I think this is looking likely to be the reasonable way it's going to head, if you subscribe to this brand of politics and you drive speakers away and you protest, you're probably going to get kicked out of college, and rightly so. If you intimidate or attack a speaker, you're going to get prosecuted, rightly so. And if your college fosters this kind of sentiment en masse, it is going to be defunded, and rightly fucking so. Because why should the regular people of the state pay for these wannabe pseudo activists to run around like utter cretins, destroying property, assaulting free citizens? It makes no sense anymore. And I think people can see that. And I think we're going to finally turn the corner. And perhaps by the time we move into 2018, there's going to be a clear message that this will no longer be tolerated. You had your fun, like kids in the sandpit, though. You played a bit too rough, and now we're going to have to put you in fucking timeout. And that's using language that these retards might be able to understand. So, let's get into the show proper, shall we? But yeah, I thought it was interesting to follow up with Evergreen. I got a few little just weird stories that I noticed on the internet that I'm going to just throw at you. Here's one to begin with, Sam. We talked on I Hate It Here about the trans disabled movement.
Yeah.
Right? Here's the thing, okay? Obviously, the whole issue surrounding disability is quite a difficult one, because I'm of the mindset that if there was a way to make sure nobody ever had to be disabled, developmentally disabled, if there was a way that, we could press a button and, we don't remove the existing people with those problems, obviously. I'm not preaching eugenics or, an extermination or anything like that. But if we could just get to a place where, disease and illness and that kind of thing just didn't exist, I'm of the mindset that'd be good. And that's actually problematic. There's people within these groups, people who maybe have a disability that have lost a limb, or people who are paraplegic or quadriplegic, and they're like, well, when you say things like that, you reduce our existence. And I don't see that argument, and that's not what I'm
just
saying.
saying it would be better if you weren't disabled, right? Surely.
But some people don't agree.
No, how can you not agree, though?
But I don't know. It's very strange. I guess because of the nature of identity, right? Because of the nature of identity, when you exist and you overcome adversity, like many of these, people with disabilities have to. I mean, you're put in that situation. There is no greater sink or swim within the human experience than just being given something that renders you handicapped. That's it. Now, You've had a severe spine injury. You can't walk. And that's it. You are locked into a reality where it's, even ceasing to exist in that moment isn't an option. You are going to have to wake up. You are going to have to do the grueling physiotherapy. You are going to have to fight tooth and nail to try and restore some feeling, maybe walk again one day. You are going to have to completely work on your upper body strength to get to a point where you can vaguely function. You're going to have to learn new skills. You're going to have to cope with some of the indignities that these disabilities bring around sexual dysfunction, around the use of the toilet, things that our society holds as taboo. I can't even begin to imagine what that's like. And the bravery of the people that overcome this in an almost mundane fashion. It's that mundane brand of bravery, It's like, here's some shit you've got to deal with, and there's no option but to deal with it. It's ridiculous. Like say my uncle, he lost a leg. He lost a leg in a bike accident. He used to be in a biker gang, and he came off his bike and his foot was very badly injured. And because it was in one of these hospitals where you don't get a very high standard of care, because that's one of the things we never talk about in Britain. We talk about how great the NHS is. It's great in principle, but in practicality, when it plays out, what it actually does is you've got that postcode lottery going on. If you live down south, you live around London, you live in the home counties, quality of hospitals are great. You move to the northeast, you go to Wales, you go to these places, the hospitals, the amount of people, for example, in the northeast, that it's got the highest rate of women who die of breast cancer. In this day and age, a treatable cancer. I lost my godmother. She must have been 40, early 40s when she passed away, because they wouldn't give her Herceptin, because in that postcode, you don't get that drug because they don't consider it worth it to save your life. This is the standard of care in modern Britain, and yet the NHS is held up and lauded as a model all around the world. And so it happened to my uncle when he came off his bike and lost a foot. We had a doctor who decided he was going to pin the foot back on. Okay. So he pinned the foot back on. My mother recanted stories to me about how when she visited him in the hospital bed, the smell, the stench of rotting flesh, flies buzzing round a blackened foot that had been pinned back onto a leg, and the doctor being absolutely adamant that that was fine and normal, right? Now, that's not fine or normal, Sam.
Yeah, it turns out it's not.
Most doctors will tell you that that isn't fine and normal. And as a result of that attempt at care, the gangrene that was rotting his foot away, an unsavable limb at this point, spread to his leg. And he was tapped on the shoulder one morning in a delirious haze and told, if we do not cut your leg off immediately, you will die. There is no discussion at this point. Now, Uncle... Shit, I keep wanting to drop his name, but I probably shouldn't, because there's all doxing motherfuckers out there. But my uncle, anyway, he was a big guy to begin with, one of the hardest guys in the colliery. Already done, been in and out of prison for small bits. He had to completely relearn his life. He went from being, a biker guy, a tough guy, to having one leg and not being able to get around. And again, don't want to disappoint anybody. When you live in a really poor area and your leg's off, you don't get one of them super bionic legs that you see. And he's got a collection of legs. This is like the thing you would give a fucking 15th century pirate. You know, they're unreal.
It's a nice right angle, mate, if you want to walk straight.
Mm. So yeah, he used to have this one leg. His best leg was a type tin leg, and it was so badly molded it didn't fit his stump properly, and he would wear it, and he was like, say, a big guy, about 18 stone, 20 stone, and he'd be walking around on it, and it would cut into his open wound, his stump. It would bleed, it would get infected. That was his best leg. So he spent a lot of time in a wheelchair around about that period. His weight ballooned up. It made it even harder to get into a recovery. He had all of the health problems associated with that. You know, I guess I'm saying all of this to say that I am not unsympathetic. I'm not one of these people who are like, meh, lol. You know what I mean? I've seen it, right? I've seen what it's like for a functional, strong man to be, you know, cut down in his prime and put in a wheelchair and be told, you know, you're not going to be able to do things that you used to do anymore. And I've seen the depression, and I've seen what it did to the relationship with his wife. Turned him into quite a mean-spirited person for quite a few years, actually. Turned him into an alcoholic, if he wasn't already one, you know, and he already had grounds to be one. He'd gone through the care system. His own parents had put him into care. You know, he was part of that great child abuse scandal in the Northeast, where it turned out care homes were letting in judges and politicians to fiddle with kids in the middle of the night. You know, he'd already been through quite a bit. So I'm definitely sympathetic. Okay. That being said, I can't understand anybody. You know, if my uncle had said to me, if my uncle had said to me, if I went, hey, if there was a way we could go back in time and not have this happen, and he went, no, actually, I'm part of this gang now.
Yeah, I love it, mate.
I'm part of this group. And there's a lot of people in the chat saying there's no way that happened. What the fuck? Go Google it. Go look it up. Just type in British care home child abuse scandal. Go look at it. If you think, you know, this, I don't want to go all Pizzagate on you, right? But but trust me, there's been a lot of child abuse scandals in the UK. So anyway, so if he said to me, you know, fuck that, I love this, I'd think he was a bit weird. So there was this discussion on Twitter, and I'm only going to show you a very small section of it, but needless to say, this did blow up. Some tweets got deleted, but just look at this. Who could have an objection with this? There was a BBC reporter, and he tweeted out, you know, a deaf baby hears for the first time. Thousands of hours of patient experimentation went into this. Science is glory. And there's a video on the BBC of a child that's never heard its mother's voice, right? And they put this cochlear implant in, and they start talking to it, and you can see the picture there. It gets a smile on its face. It's like, wow, what the fuck? I can hear my mother's voice. Like, it's amazed. It's blown away by, you know, its ability to hear. It's quite a, you know, touching video if you're soft. No, I'm just kidding. It's quite a touching video. You'd have to be a monster not to find something good in that. But then somebody replies, I don't think they are, but when deaf children are born to hearing parents, there can be a knee-jerk fix-it response. And I don't understand that.
Yeah, there is usually, yeah.
Yeah, if my child was deaf, I would want them not to be deaf. You know, I want.
How dare you take them out of the deaf group, mate? They were going to join the club and everything.
Yeah, but like, do you know what I mean? It's not that I don't like deaf people. It's not that I'm not sympathetic to what deaf people go through. Again, I can't imagine what that's like. I can't imagine having to be self-conscious about every time I open my mouth and sounding like, you know, the deaf voice and having to be self-conscious about that, or having to learn sign language, never being able to hear music. You know, again, I can't imagine what that would be like. I'm incredibly sympathetic. But if we can fix it, why don't we fix it? Is the status worth it? It can't be. And for a child, you can't. You've got to make the decision that gives them the best chances at a normal life. I mean, that's what our entire civilization is about. We're very child-centric, aren't we? In the West, especially. But I mean, just as the human race, right? We're not like animals who just you just squat one out and then, you know, lick the placenta off, and that's that. That's deal with it now, fuckers. Just you're on Jenga legs. You know, we don't leave kids to fend for themselves in the human species. Then somebody replied here, and it is not only an excellent response to fix it, but a totally humane one. No child should be left deaf if the deafness could be alleviated. And this woman says the deaf community would probably disagree with you. I mean, again, a self-appointed speaker on behalf of all deaf people all over the fucking
I represent world. The deaf community.
Yeah. I shouldn't make jokes. But you know what I mean? Like, I come to you from the deaf clan, right? And on behalf of all deaf people, I want to say that child must be left deaf. Like, dude.
He was born to us. You mustn't take him away.
Please do some research. Many deaf people do not consider it a disability to be fixed. You know, but by definition, it is a dysfunction of what is supposed to be happening. I just don't understand it, mate. I don't understand it. So there was that. That was actually a genuine discussion. People were like, yeah, actually, she's got a point. She hasn't, though. Definitely hasn't. Don't let a kid stay deaf for its life when you can cure the deafness just so you can say, this is normal. That's your shit. That's your hang-up. Let that kid fucking have a normal life. You know what I mean? Don't put your shit on.
That's so mental. How imagine being deaf and saying, nah, I'm all right. When someone says, would you like to hear things for the first time?
But it's
I'm all right.
I think... Again, you know, and look, I don't have any real level of insight in it. That for all waxing lyrical about my experiences and how I might have a certain sensitivity towards it, ultimately, I'm like every other able-bodied person who takes the fact that we are able-bodied for granted every day. I wake up, I roll out of my pit, I walk around, I have a drink, you know, I make coffee, you know, I beat it fucking 3 to 4 times a day, you know, whatever it is. I do stuff that just is mundane to me. You know, I don't think about what it would be like if I couldn't move from here to my bathroom. And you know, I couldn't even tell if I needed a piss or a shit, having to wear a bag. You know, I don't think about those things. I pray they're never going to happen to me. And that's some sort of residual thought in the back of my mind. But ultimately, I mean, a lot of us, we do. I'd say the majority of able-bodied people, we just don't think about it, do we? We just, it's just compartmentalized. And we're like, well, you know, as long as I don't get in that fast car and as long as, you know, we minimize risks, and that's about it. But you don't always get that luxury in life. And, you know, again, I have no real level of insight about what it must be like to suffer from that. But again, the idea of your identity being so anchored, so sunk into that you would be afraid almost of the cure because it would reduce you as a person. That's not true. I mean, it wouldn't. But I think that's the fear, isn't it? Like if you've dealt with a disability and overcome it and have built a whole life around tailoring to it or whatever it is. I mean, let's say, for example, okay, let's say you are deaf, right? And you've overcome it and you're doing lectures to people about how to cope with deafness. And then someone goes, your type of deafness can be cured, homie. Is an injection. You know, people might, I'm just
taking the stem cells straight to the eardrum is what I'd be doing. Lord me the fuck up, mate.
Yeah, stem cells all the way. But you know, I can understand if you build this huge identity for yourself around something and it becomes a huge integral part of your life. I suppose losing that would be frightening. And I'm like
But
you. I would
you
love.
would have still had the experience of being deaf all those years. You know, they can't take that away from you. Now you're just cured.
Yeah, look, you know, I agree.
I know. I'm just saying, I'm mentally, aren't I?
I'm just trying to see it the other way, and yeah, it's sad. It's really fucking sad, dude. You know, that I think anybody, like, here's the thing. We're not talking about a young child that even has its own thoughts. We're talking about a fucking baby, and someone's there. Don't you cure that baby. Don't you cure that baby. Like, come on. Can we cure the babies? Is that all right? Like, well, what is science for if it's not for improving and enhancing all of our lives? I don't know. I thought that was weird, dude. Not as weird as this, though. Not as weird as this. This was going to go on I Hate It Here, but as usual, you know, we have to build up for an I Hate It Here. We've got to get all the, like, bad stories that have gone on for, like, a month, put them all together, and then riff and do fucking comedy on them. So this would definitely be a candidate. But here we are talking about, curing a baby.
Needs to grow the fuck up as well.
Yeah, this cup doesn't need to grow the fuck up, doesn't he? This guy needs a big cup of grow the fuck up. This is the story about a man who spent £25,000 on plastic surgery to make himself into an elf.
Could have got a Legolas cosplay for $50, mate. That's go LARPing on a weekend. Fucking, I don't know. Anything than this.
It's so mad. And look, here's the thing. I consider myself trans species. All right, choose a species that exists, you cunt. Right? Just look at this. Look at this story. Louis Padron, 25, became obsessed with elves after being bullied as a child. Do you think that's a healthy basis for plastic surgery? Do you think maybe, like, he should have seen a fucking therapist, dude? Spent that 25 grand on some fucking electroshock?
Yeah, on some DMT and a good time with a shaman somewhere in Peru. That would have helped you, mate.
It's so ridiculous. You know, yeah, I got bullied at school, so now I'm going to get plastic surgery to become a fictitious character.
They'll never bully me now.
What doctor is signing off on that? Yeah, I just need to make sure you're of sound mind before we can begin the procedure. Can you tell me, why do you want to be an elf? Yeah, I got beat up a lot at school, and I figured if I was an elf, because of my superior powers, they wouldn't be able to do that to me anymore. You do know the procedure doesn't come with powers. Yes. Right, fine. I see no problem here. Let's chop up your fucking face.
Yeah, 25,000.
And sew plastic ears onto the side of your fucking head. That'll be 25 grand. That's mental. He's also got to spend 4 grand a month putting on creams and dyes. Another treatment to keep his skin bleached and shit. Like, come on, dude.
Well, where's that money coming from? Probably his parents, and imagine having that as your child. Fuck my life if I give birth to that. Says there, it
looks kind of hot, to be honest. Come on. Come on, spooky turtle wang. Get a grip, mate. Get a fucking grip of yourself.
He sells cosplays for a living as well, mate.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He probably does, and he goes, buy one of my cosplays. That's my elf voice. Just in case you thought I was saying something else. Buy one of my cosplays. Right? And, oh, yeah, you've got a good cosplay. He's had 25 grand worth of surgery. You're just going to be like one of them fat cunts who paint themselves blue and say, I'm the genie. But, yeah, it's just unacceptable, isn't it? 25 grand, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say don't do this. Yeah, I wouldn't want the law.
I wouldn't stop him from doing that.
Yeah. Have at it, right? But it does make you wonder what is going through this cunt's head. That's all I'm saying.
I know what's going through his head. Flashbacks of him getting thrown in a locker, mate. That's what's going through his head. He needs some serious help.
Save me, Legolas! Save me, Legolas! Save me, Legolas! I'm in Rivendell. I'm in Rivendell. I'm in Rivendell. You're not, mate. You're in the fucking locker and I'll give you your fucking dinner money. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Fucking hell, what a planet. What a fucking planet we live in. Another thing, I meant to touch upon this fucking ages ago and I didn't, right? Now, listen, this is important, this. I need to know, because you know I'm old, right? I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
Did you know, Sam? I'm a little bit older than you. Okay, good. I know, because I look pretty young, right? You know, if you got this grey out of my beard, if I had some just for men, you know, people don't. People don't. Yeah. Well, you know, whatever. That's gone, isn't it? But
he's given up.
Mate, I'd need fucking super raw gain, wouldn't I? Like
stem cells, mate.
Yeah, or just stem cells.
Rubbing it on you. That'll do it.
Oh, please. That's not how it works. That's not how stem cells work. Shut up.
Can't put fetuses in a pot, pester a mortal and rub it on your head.
But you know, when I say I'm in my mid-30s, like people don't buy that. So I'm doing all right. I'm happy with it. You know, the good thing is I looked old when I was young, so then I'm gonna look younger when I'm older. You know.
Yeah.
But because I am older, there is like a generational thing going on every time we do this, and I often worry that when we do a fucking show, I'm going to say something and all the young kids in my audience are going to be like, ha, the old man isn't down with us. Ha, ha, ha. What an idiot, right? So I want to talk about furries, right?
Fucking hell, why?
Yeah, but listen. We got a massive section of furries in our audience.
I've seen a few of them.
Seen them. All just fucking, you know, watching our show while they're tugging on their little lipsticks. So I've got to talk about furries, mate, because I don't get it. Like, okay, I'm not saying you're a bad person if you're a furry. Obviously, what you do in the privacy of your own home and in your bedroom and shit, yeah, have at it. Go fucking nuts, mate. I don't give a fuck. I went and did a tour one time with a fucking S&M freak show where people stuck fireworks up their ass and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen some shit. I've seen a grown man have his balls mashed with a plank of wood. You know, it's fine. Have at it. Whatever does it for you. But that being said, it's a bit fucking mental, isn't it? Like,
it definitely is mental as fuck.
It's just mental, and you know, it's like I remember I said something like, okay, so when I was doing this Street Fighter show, I had a lot of new friends, shall we say. There was loads of people crawling out. Friends. Yeah, no. I mean, here's the thing. There was just lots of people like, you know, that fucking mentally ill Ian to the max or whatever who calls me Donkey Boy for some reason. I don't understand why. I can only assume it's because he's, you know, seen the size of my penis. But he, you know, there was all these people coming out the woodwork, and I would just be like, listen, you're all mentally ill. You're not going to get me fired. I'm not a Nazi. You don't, you know, congratulations. You found out I worked at Breitbart for 6 months, and you think this gives you some great insight into my personality. You can act like a complete, you know, mental degenerate on Twitter if you want. It's not going to do anything. Go back to the fucking, you know, go back to your fellow weebs and furries and all the other, you know, weird people. And they got super mad about it and going, oh my God, Richard Lewis hates furries? How dare he? Don't you realize that's like all of your audience and then all these furries?
Is it? No, please don't say it is. Please don't.
And they were telling me about, you know, there's the guy over at Echo Fox that is Sonic Rider.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a furry on Echo Fox. I don't know if that's his name, but yeah.
And he seems a cool guy, actually. Don't have an issue. He does have what are they called? A fursona. He does have a fursona. Right. So here's the thing. I think, okay, in my listen, dude. In my
What are
heart,
we doing? What is this on
that's what
to our fairy audience?
I told you I was out of shit. I did warn you. I said, Sam, I've had a late night. I've been drinking. I'm out of shit. So
I
we're just
got
gonna have.
furries and people who want to be deaf.
Quickly, 5 minutes before we go live, what's funny? Furries, and that's it. That's what we got. And elves. So no, but look. So here's what I think. Okay, here is the preconception in my brain that I don't want. I'm not saying stop being a furry. I'm not saying being a furry is bad. I'm not saying if you're a furry you're a bad person. I do think you're weird though, and I can't get away from that. That's in my head. If you dress up as a cartoon wolf and smash a cartoon fox,
But surely they must know they're weird. Come on. Surely
yeah, but
the whole part of the allure of being a furry, you must know it's mental.
yeah, no, but
Surely.
yeah, but here's the thing, Sam. So is it like okay? So I've got a theory about bronies, like, and I consider furries and bronies to be kind of in the same ballpark. I'm sure all the furries are like, what? Those bronies are fucking they're gone. Like bronies are mental. We're normal. All we want to do is just yiff and put my fucking knot in someone or whatever the fuck they said. But anyway, okay. So, bronies. Why did that particular subculture proliferate on the internet? And I think it's because here's why it attracts a certain type of person. If you are somebody that doesn't have like you want to be masculine. I'm not saying you're somebody who identifies as fucking gender fluid or a woman or trans or anything like that. I'm just talking about you're a guy, you're straight, but you don't have a lot of qualities that make you feel traditionally masculine. I'm talking about the fedora tippers. I'm talking about the miladies. I'm talking about the guys who are overweight, not for the cool reasons, like I'm overweight, like beer and parties and wearing a Hawaiian shirt and going whizzle wazzle. That's okay. Fat party animal is okay. I'm talking about, man boobs from too many Doritos. And Mountain Dew fat. That's not cool. That's never cool. That's never cool. It's never going to be cool. It's never going to be normalized. I'm talking about the people that don't know how to fight and get bullied and picked on, and then they go home and they look at their katana collection thinking, one day.
Me. I'm going to get them.
And you ask...
their own anime in their head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why are those people attracted to My Little Pony? Well, here's why. Okay, because My Little Pony, in and of itself, it is a cartoon made traditionally for little girls. What you say about yourself by embracing My Little Pony is all of that stuff that I failed at, being traditionally masculine. Actually, I reject masculinity, and that's why I fail at it. It's that way round. It's the chicken and the egg argument. I didn't fail at it, I rejected it, and therefore I didn't excel in it. So what you say to a group of people is when you say, hey, I like My Little Pony, you're saying I'm not traditionally masculine and I adopt a certain set of values and behaviors and archetypes. And you'll see a lot of memes, right? Or rather, like, not memes. They become memes because they're so cringe. But you'll see a lot of My Little Pony people go on line. And first of all, you'll be pictures of them hover handing a cartoon pony, saying like, I think Sparkles is I think Sparkles is horny, right, you're gonna fuck an underage cartoon horse. I guess that's okay. But then you'll also see this lie propagated that it makes them more attractive to women. I'm not saying there aren't women who aren't into bronies, but I think that is the essence of the movement. The essence of the movement is we cannot succeed at being traditionally masculine, so why not inject ourselves into a subculture where there's no room for masculinity? It's a cartoon for my little girls. They don't do anything masculine in it. You're never going to see, I don't know any of the names, Salt Lick and
Salt Lick?
You're never going to see Salt Lick and Starhoof get into a fist fight after 10.
Starhoof.
I'm making it up.
Rainbow
Anyway,
Dash. There we go. That's the main one. I
Excellent.
know.
Thanks. So, anyway,
Solid.
I don't know. I'm so cool. I don't even know their names, right? So, anyway, so furries, I think. Furries are kind of similar in the sense that I think ultimately the furry movement is kind of it's two things. It's almost like a rejection of your existing physical form on a psychological level. I think a lot of these people probably as furries don't particularly like their bodies. Or aren't comfortable with it. I think that might be a fair assumption. And by the same token as well, it seems to be a movement that's very heavily weighted in sexuality. So I think this is people who they don't like their own bodies, but they want to explore their sexuality and their sexual functions to the fullest limits. Well, how could a group of people ever agree to do that? Because if I don't like my own body and we're the same, and I don't like your body, how do we ever do the nasty? How do we ever get past it? It's like, imagine if you were in the lowest percentile of attractiveness on Tinder and you want to fuck the attractive people, but they're never going to swipe on you. The people that are swiping on you are people that are also in that percentile. And you just are like, oh God, gross. Everyone has the same standards, of beauty, let's say. And you don't conform to it, but that doesn't stop you wanting it, right? So here's how you get past that problem. Let's all put on costumes. Problem solved, right? Now, it doesn't matter what I look like under this, because you don't see it. And, we're all vaguely attracted to cartoon dogs, wolves, and foxes. Certain animals never make it into furries, by the way. I've never seen anyone fucking a giant chicken, for example. But now
fur, though, is it? It's feathers, mate. Come on.
Was that a separate thing?
Probably. I don't know the rules.
Featheries. So that makes sense to me. And as a result of it, I'm not saying don't do it. But I am saying I do think you're a little bit weird. So why are you bringing this up, Richard? Good point. No real reason. All right. Just wanted to pontificate a little bit on furries. Because a while back, all right, there was this story, and I think we were trying to work it into an I hate it here, but you know what it's like. There's just been loads of stuff just fucking flying out, the constant news cycle, the anti-Trump nonsense. But this article really flew under the radar. And I don't know if you know this, Sam, but within furries, there are there's other political subsections. Yeah. And I don't know if you know this, but there's a group of Nazi furries.
I hope there's like an Inglorious Bastards group of furries as well that goes around scalping the Nazi furries.
Yeah, innit? I need you to bring me 100 lipsticks. 100 Nazi lipsticks. No, so there's a group of Nazi furries, and this article was covered over at New Statesman. It got syndicated in a few other things, and it's called The Third Reich, F-U-R-R-E-D, like pretty good headline. The truth about Nazi furries and the alt-right, and this was at the height of the alt-right hysteria, where everything was alt-right. Now, this is just unreal. There's a guy who's like the head person they talk to. He's called, oh, fucking hell, I'm going to struggle with this, Sam. Foxler. Foxler Nightfire.
I just saw his armband with a fucking paw print on it.
Foxler Nightfire. Anyway, he talks about what furries are, and they've got an accessory. See, it looks like a Nazi armband, but you can see it's not actually a swastika if you zoom in. It's a paw print. Yeah, it's a paw print. And you can see Foxler Nightfire tweeted out on Twitter helpfully, always be yourself and never let anyone change you forever and always furry. Thanks to everyone in the alt furry for the support. And there he is in what looks suspiciously like an SS uniform. And the thing. So this whole article is talking about, is he actually a racist? And it's mental because he's mixed race himself. Okay. And this is what I mean when I talk about at the core of the furry movement, anybody who likes to wear a costume, I think, I don't want to sound like I'm analyzing Rorschach or Batman or something, but I think if you put a costume on, I think somebody that wants to walk around in a costume for a large part of their lives probably doesn't like themselves very much. I don't think you like who you are. But anyway, so he's mixed race, and he's got a black boyfriend. And they started asking him about his politics, and on his Twitter, for example, he says things like, "I hate black people and I stand by Hitler." And he says, "I'm just trolling though," because obviously, and it's just so weird that he's adopting the affectations doesn't stand for any of those values. It's like the fetishization of Nazism, which I think is something no one ever talks about. People are very quick to point at people and go, "Well, he must be a Nazi," and it's just fucking weird, dude. It's just weird. Look, see, he goes here, right? I don't have any race preference, but I wouldn't sleep with a black man. And then he goes on to say, "But my boyfriend is black/Asian, and I sleep with him just fine." And then he goes, "When I was young, I was anti-gay." Right.
This guy's mentally ill, isn't he?
Yeah, this guy's all over the fucking place. Foxler Nightfire, he's all over the place. He goes, he goes, "Listen though," he goes, when I was young, I was anti-gay before I got my boyfriend. Why the change? It's because he's not a human anymore. When I look at him, I see a blue wolf. Reasonable. So anyway, if you
are his parents, you have failed.
There's some mad things though in here, like some stuff I didn't even know about. Apparently, there's something called a puka, which is a shapeshifter. So you can be multiple animals, So that's good. I'm going to start using that. Get the fuck out of here, you puka. And also as well, I think this is quite funny. In the article it goes, "Alt furries have been rejected by Richard Spencer." Like, it just shows what a fucking clown that guy is. Like, you're walking around preaching white supremacy, and on the side, low key, you're going, "And we reject the furries." Like, mate, your life is garbage. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
for Fuhrer, down with furry. Better than the hey ho ho myth.
Yeah, it's pretty good actually. But yeah, there's just loads of stuff in this. Like, it's a gold mine. And in it they talk about irony as well. Like, some of them are like, "Haha, we're just ironically mad gay furries."
Doesn't count though. We're all wolves.
Yeah,
mate. You whatever you say while you're taking dick, whatever helps you sleep at night, bro.
So we didn't fucking we didn't get into that because like I say, it's gold mine. But go check it out. Just type in the Third Reich on Google. Read the article on New Statesman. It'll blow your fucking mind, I'm sure. Right, okay. Something else. We're coming up to the halfway point of the show, I think. Yeah, okay. Well, time for a quick one. Mashable, they're always hitting the high points of reporting, right? And I don't even understand what we're doing anymore, Sam. I don't understand what we're doing. I double checked this. I thought this was fake. It's not. Right. Have you seen the film 21 Grams?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So 21 Grams It was made back like at the turn of the century, and it's by Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu, the guy who did Birdman, which is fucking great, by the way. He also did Amores Perros, was it? And Life is a Bitch or something.
Oh yeah, I've seen Amores Perros.
Yeah, right.
Big.
And basically, it's based on this like urban myth that some scientist, I can't remember his name, said that proof of the soul is that when you die, nothing in the early stages of death, even though there's nothing changed about the body, there's this observable weight difference of 21 grams. And he says that's the weight of a soul. I mean, it's retarded. So anyway, I think it's been debunked now. But that was that. So it's this interweaving story about death and stuff, and it's a good movie. It's got Sean Penn in it, back when Sean Penn used to act instead of just turning up at rallies and that sort of thing. So imagine my surprise when that name, that theme, got co-opted into this, which is a dildo. Right? Fuck me. Oh God, my life. Right. So there's a dildo called the 21 grams, and what it does is if you have a loved one who dies, you put their ashes in the dildo.
Oh,
and
fuck me.
And then you can be intimate with them from beyond the grave.
Wait, just keep their arm while you're at it. Just keep their arm, just ram that in you, why not? Oh, don't burn the arm, actually. I'll just cut that off, yeah, I'll take that home.
You give me their severed head because I've got this hydraulic step.
Yeah. I'll take it to the fucking the fillers, mate. We'll get a feathered. We'll be ready.
It's just insane. So again, right. The device is called 21 grams. I'll read the description. It's on something called Sturkenboom. I think it's a Dutch designer, Mark Sturkenboom. And it says the 21 grams is a memory box that allows a widow to go back to the intimate memories of a lost beloved one. And the memory box with 21 grams of ashes a glass dildo. Now, if you look at this is the picture of the full kit folded out. I mean, just look at that. It's nice. It's well designed. It's like a little
great
music
craftsmanship, man.
And yeah, he says in the box you can put your lover's perfume. That's what that little squirty thing there is for. So you can get their scent before the intimate act. You can also put music through it. Those little holes in it aren't just decorative, they're speakers. And you can attach an iPhone to it as well. I don't know why you would do that.
Anyone that is fucking the ashes of someone who is passing needs serious therapeutic help. You can't give them a dildo and let them do it.
I know it sounds like I was getting into it there, right? Like, wow, this is actually really good. But no,
this is mental.
You are fucked in the feed, obviously. But yeah, for example, you could, see, they get it. Lollipop Murderer gets it, saying that you could record, if you had a recording of their voice, you could like play it through. Why not go the whole hog and get one of them Stephen Hawking machines? Hello.
That'll get you off.
This is your robotic husband from beyond the grave. It's a long way to go just to flick a bean, isn't it? So anyway,
Imagine if it breaks or something. You're just full of your partner's ashes. Imagine the fucking PTSD.
Imagine going to the fucking emergency room.
I'm full of glass and a dead person.
Yeah. Now, have you heard of the 21 grams? Oh, you mean that film by renowned Spanish director? No. No, it's a glass dildo with ashes in it. Oh, ashes? Yeah, my dead husband, yeah.
Get out of my hospital. Have you seen One Guy, One Jar? Imagine that, but with human ashes. I need serious care.
It's just like one guy, one jar. Holy shit! Like 21 grams, one jar. Right. Anyway, I think that's a good spot to take a break, get rehydrated, and everything else. We'll be back in about 2-3 minutes, and we'll do the second half of the Richard Lewis show. So make sure you stick around. All right, welcome back, Sam, with the appropriate choice of song there. We've just done a bit about people fucking their loved ones from being
I know.
You drop, don't fear the reaper.
I know. No one even noticed in the chat, mate.
Fear the reaper.
I was waiting for the chat. No one even got that. See, didn't get past you though, mate. Fair play.
We're on the same fucking level of irony as the Third Reich, I think. We're doing pretty good. So anyway, welcome back to the Richard Lewis Show. We're going to talk about some other bits and pieces that we got going on. No particularly pressing news story today. Nothing really dominating the headlines. I guess we could talk about the Paris deal if we wanted to, but given that the American government, the Trump administration, hasn't decided one way or the other, we'll probably save that for another day. Now, one of the people we have talked about on this show, Steve Harvey.
Why is there still monkeys?
Yeah, why are there still monkeys? If evolution exists. I've said it before. Steve Harvey, for me, is the epitome of, okay. Have you ever seen the film Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? You ever seen that?
No.
Great fucking movie, by the way. Totally recommend that you watch it. Well, there's a scene right at the beginning of the movie, so it's not going to spoil too much, where Robert Downey Jr., who is the protagonist in the film, is talking about how he made it to Hollywood. And he was a low-level thief, and they're robbing a toy store or something, and they trigger an alarm, police turn up, and as him and his partner are running away, his partner gets shot and killed by the police. And Robert Downey Jr. is looking for somewhere to hide. He stumbles in to a Hollywood audition for a cop TV show. And he sits down in the chair, and they're like, okay, so, you know the bit, do the read, and go. And the woman delivering the line goes, we know you did it. We know that you and your partner have done it and all this. And then he starts crying and going like, oh, I didn't mean to get him involved in it. He's having a breakdown about a very real life thing. And of course, because it's real life, he nails the audition, right? Because he's crying about something else. And they go, wow, this isn't in the script. But look at that. Powerful improv, method acting. So he gets assigned to a studio, and it's a complete fraud. He just, bizarre set of circumstances, completely lucked out and succeeded. Now, Steve Harvey doesn't have as interesting a story as Robert Downey Jr. in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. But the principle's the same. Steve Harvey has no discernible talent. I can only assume something similar must have happened. And he just got incredibly lucky, because I have yet to figure out what he does. In this report that we're about to show you, he's described as a comedian. Well, the only thing comical is his views on evolution, his views on homosexuality, his views on segregated gender roles.
Their inability to read winners.
Yeah, certainly that was a great comedy performance when he read the wrong winner of Miss World. But I don't know what he does. I don't know what his talent is, and yet he's a celebrity. Proof, if anyone needed, that in America, anybody can succeed. The American dream is alive and well.
Any old
Steve
rat
Harvey,
human hybrid can have your day show, mate.
Steve Harvey is proof of it. His views are appallingly outdated and stupefyingly ill-informed. He has, again, no talent. He's not funny. His shtick is incredibly tired and formulaic. And yet there he is, making millions and demanding that the runners who fetch his coffee don't look him in the eye or talk to him as he gets his makeup done. So there was a news report in thecut.com, and I didn't know this, but his ex-wife, Mary Shackelford, is suing him for $60 million. And she said being married to Harvey was a nightmare. Now, I will preface all of this by saying in divorce proceedings, you can't really take the testimony of either party about the other party as gospel truth. Because we all know when relationships end, shit gets a bit messy, doesn't it? Gets a bit messy. But there are some interesting insights into what life with Steve Harvey might be like. Some of the charges he alleges that Steve Harvey include child endangerment, okay, torture, right, conspiracy against her rights. I don't know what that is. Intentional infliction of emotional distress, and what she calls soul murder. I mean,
You killed my soul.
I agree with that as a viable charge because having watched Family Feud, my soul too has been murdered repeatedly. As he goes, name something long that dangles between a man's legs. Penis.
Oh my god. I can't live here no more. What's wrong with these people?
Every episode, without fail. So yeah, my soul dies a little bit all the time. But she says as well, he would brainwash her. What is that? Yeah, just Mary, come into the home cinema for a moment. Just put this headset on.
Look directly at the dots.
He's just there dropping eye drops in.
I'm just gonna IV some Adderall into you to make sure you stay concentrated.
So just crazy. It's got to be noted as well that maybe we should take this with a pinch of salt because the lawsuit wasn't filed by an attorney. It was filed by a civil rights activist that Mary knows. Just as so, but when you look into the details, some of the things she alleges are pretty fucking out there. Have
you seen this video? Is it worth watching?
Which one?
Very livid, like on the cut.
I didn't watch this.
60 minutes. I'm already Brexit on that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, she comes across as unhinged. Well, but then again, I certainly want to believe that there's an element of truth in this. What can I say? The idea of Steve Harvey trying to brainwash his own wife.
Scientology in his basement.
Yeah, just his own brand. Taking away her business. He's just a mad character, isn't he? He's just wild as fuck. And I don't understand why any of this is happening. I don't understand why I know who Steve Harvey is. Why? So I'm going to monitor that with great interest. I imagine the lawsuit will be dismissed, probably with prejudice. But yeah. Crazy headlines, Sam. We like crazy headlines on our show. This is mental. Okay, try and not buckle over with laughter for this. This is the headline. It's in the Metro. And again, for those who don't know what the Metro is, it's basically the free paper that you get when you commute to work. It's on trains and buses. You all right, Sam? This is so good. Right.
I'm so confused as to what this is going to be about. But honestly, I have no idea. It could be anything.
Okay. The headline. Right. Mum and daughter tricked into licking feet of Poundworld staff who rode them like horses. Now,
how does that happen?
We'll get into it. Now, Poundland, for those of you who don't know, Poundland is basically a discount store shop in the UK. It's called Poundworld. There's Poundworld, Poundland, sorry. There's multiple pounds. Basically, these are what happened to the everything's a pound shop in the current economy. You couldn't really call them everything's a pound because it just wasn't viable to charge a pound anymore. So Poundworld is basically a discount store. It's where if there's a bunch of biscuits that are about to go out of date, you ship them to Poundworld to recoup some of the costs, and Poundworld try and sell them to recoup some of their costs and make a profit, and people go there. And these stores have increasingly become a necessity for a lot of working class people because obviously that's how you afford to live in Britain, along with the help of food banks. Yes, this is modern Britain, not a third world country. Now, back to the comedy. So hapless customers were tricked into licking the feet at a Poundworld store, who then rode them like horses in an elaborate prank by an anonymous caller. Naomi Desmond, 24, and her mum Pamela, 55, who has one arm.
If it wasn't bad enough, she's licking feet. She's got one arm.
Who has one arm, were doing some last-minute holiday shopping when they fell victim to a bizarre con lasting 2.5 hours. The pair now want to sue Poundworld after the discount giant offered them a £200 voucher and an apology in return for their ordeal. How it began: a man claiming to be from a charity in Ireland phoned the store and told staff to close it for a team training exercise that would involve 2 customers entering into a competition. Pamela and Naomi were the only shoppers inside at the time when the prankster phoned to tell staff to take the 2 customers into the storeroom. The 2 women were duped into believing they could win £3,000 if they endured a series of humiliating tasks at the discount shop in Barnstaple, Devon. The manager and another employee, who also were victims to the hoax, were then told to take the women back onto the shop floor. Following the caller's instructions, the staff tied string around Naomi and Pamela's ears, threw water over them, and drew on their face with pens. The humiliation did not stop there, as the prankster ordered the staff to ride Naomi and Pamela down the aisles in a human horse race. Throughout the ordeal, the staff had to refer to the 2 women as ugly and beast. And
Wait, this is so mental. So all these... They've just been phoned and someone said, yeah, I just start bullying people, but and he's gone, alright, yeah. That's literally what's gone down.
Basically, some guy has literally just called the store, said, I'm from your head office, we're doing a training exercise. You see those 2 customers in the store now? Lock the store, we're going to do a training exercise.
Yeah, lock the doors.
Yeah, and these people are going, well, must be true. Must be true. So let's get back to the story. So throughout the ordeal, the staff had to refer to the 2 women as ugly and beast. And in return, they had to call the manager beautiful lady with the promise of £50 each time they said it. The cruel antics inside the store continued for nearly 2 hours until the store finally
Look at the crowd, man.
Yeah, because, just straight.
What's going on in there? They're licking toes. How fucking stupid are all these people involved, man? The people who are licking toes and the people who are the fucking working there. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay. But minutes later, as Pamela and Naomi left the store, Naomi got a call on a mobile phone from the hoaxer demanding that they return to win more money. The two women returned, and when they found the store closed, they were made to crawl around outside on their hands and knees, which they did for half an hour. Eventually, staff inside the store stopped the women and called the head office, at which point they realized they had all been duped. Pamela, a hospital telephonist, said, "At first it was funny, like a game show. It all happened on the shop floor. They were asked to get onto our backs, and they rode us up and down the aisle like a horse race. But afterwards, we felt embarrassed. We genuinely thought it was head office. I'm disabled, so that makes it worse."
But do you know what makes it worse? What makes it worse is you were sound doing all this as long as you got a couple of grand to spend in Poundland. And now they're like, this is disgusting. I mean, you still licked the feet for quids on, didn't you? You were sound for like a couple of gone-off biscuits and you were game.
We are both too scared to go into Pound World now.
Just in case head office calls again.
I
have to do it.
I don't think it's going to happen again. I imagine that this caused quite a stir at Pound World. A Pound World spokesman said, "We apologise unreservedly to our customers for their experience at our Barnstable store, which our team also fell victim of. The incident has been referred to the police, and we are assisting them with their inquiries." The police officer's going to be fucking buckled with that.
No, so what? Someone phoned and said, "Lick feet," and you did it. All right, I'll be leaving.
Yeah. we're gonna file this right up to CID. We have conducted our own investigation and reissued guidance to our stores around the verification of telephone calls to help ensure something such as this does not happen again.
In other words, we phoned them and said, yeah, if someone phones the phone, it doesn't automatically mean it's your boss. You do understand how telephones work, right? Oh, no, I just thought that was where all the magic people phone, like.
It's pretty fucking crazy, isn't it? That is one of the maddest stories.
That's the funniest shit I've ever seen. Whoever did that, please come out and say it.
No, I'd love to get them on our show. Like,
I don't even think that's illegal. Surely it can't be.
No, I mean, I don't know what law it breaks. I mean, like,
taking advantage of that laws isn't on the law.
Surely not. Like, but it's just bonkers, mate. It's one of the maddest stories I've ever seen. And I think I might take it for the year. I don't think 2017 is gonna top that. Right. So there's a couple of other things. Let me just have a look. That's the comedy out the way. What we're gonna look at next? I suppose this is funny in a way, in and of itself. You know how, like, we talked yesterday about how people were looking to sue Donald Trump and have freedom of information acts because he blocked them on Twitter and all this nonsense. And this is quite a worrying trend. People, again, they seem to think I have the right to be able to tweet at the president all day, every day, harassing him, making him miserable, or whoever mans the Twitter account, clogging shit up and getting retweets and likes by saying the most mundane, boring things on Twitter, which apparently is tolerated by Twitter despite their platform of anti-harassment. Well, now people are actually suing Donald Trump, that's the president of the United States, for loss of enjoyment of life. Now, when I saw this and I saw the source, I thought this has to be fake news. It's got to be. But looked into it. This case is legit. It's been filed. It's been picked up as well by the Boston Globe, a more reputable publication. And this is basically, you can see here, Rossi Wade recently filed a lawsuit in the district court in Boston against the United States government of Trump, accusing the president of discrimination, mental anguish, and mental cruelty against her. Somebody she's never met. The lawsuit additionally states that she suffered a loss of enjoyment of life and emotional damage. Right, and here's the opening statement from the lawsuit. November 8th, 2016, Donald J. Trump was elected as president of the United States. From June 16th, 2015 until March 20th, 2017, I have experienced loss of enjoyment of life. I have been tormented by the thought of him, as well as sight and the sound of his voice that frightens me.
Mentally ill.
I am unable to sleep. I am unable to focus or believe in a secure future for myself and daughter.
I hear voices in my head, is what that should have said.
This is filed in a federal court document. You can see it. Feel free to click on it and bring it up. It's just a little bit down there. This is legitimately what she's saying. She says that Trump has been giving her nightmares since 2015, and as a result, she has had to be under the care of a physician. Not a very good one, I might add, because had he been or she been a good physician, you would be in a home. You would be institutionalized. You would be not allowed out under your own cognizance because you're seriously mentally ill. In fact, I'm going to bookmark this. I think this is when we do look back 4 years from now, when we have our next president. I don't believe Donald Trump's going to do the full 8. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Trump supporters out there. This is going to be one of the cases I use because they will have something called, it will be Trump derangement syndrome. That will be real. That will be a real mental illness that will all look back and we'll all be like, oh, yeah, everyone did go fucking mental, didn't they? Everyone went mental for no reason. Everyone went absolutely insane. And there was a lot of people suffering from this illness, no more so than Rossi Wade. Anyway, Rossi said Trump had been giving her nightmares since June 2015 and is now under the care of a physician. And since the appointment of Betsy DeVos as the Secretary of Education, Rossi claims she's only been able to get 2 hours of sleep a night, down from 4. It's compounded, that misery. I am a mother rearing my child, trying to maintain a level of respect and teach my child to respect authority. It is straining after hearing Donald J. Trump disrespect authority all the while. I am trying to explain he is not above the law. Rossi is demanding, you like this, Sam? $1 billion in
seems reasonable.
Right, let's weigh this up, okay? What is a bigger, what has more of a dangerous impact on American society? Is it President Trump, okay, and doing Trump things? Or is it, imagine a world where the government had to pay out $1 billion because you were so mentally ill you couldn't sleep at night because you didn't like the president. What do you think would have a bigger impact on society as the government tries to dig itself out of a huge deficit that it's in? What do you think would have a bigger impact? Well, we ain't got schools no more. Why? Everyone who didn't like Donald Trump got awarded $1 billion. Didn't you read about it? Yep. And there you go. America is now a fucking Mad Max wasteland. And it wasn't Trump who did it. It was retards demanding $1 billion and retards awarding them $1 billion. So I can't imagine. Do you know what gives me fucking sleepless nights? Cunts like this I might fucking sue this bitch for $1 billion for a loss of quality of my life because I can't believe these people are fucking real. As soon as she gets her $1 billion, I'm filing my lawsuit to get that $1 billion, and then I'll donate that $1 billion to the government and probably become, an advisor to the White House. And this prophecy is complete. It says here, Rossi's lawsuit risks being dismissed. Really? Following a denied motion for leave to proceed in forma pauperis due to an incomplete motion, the plaintiff has 21 days to either pay a $400 filing fee or submit a complete motion. Failure to do so will likely result in a dismissal. So, can't even cough up the $400. Guess that's all those sleepless nights. You're not just some fucking work-shy prick. Now, this is interesting because there's been 134 lawsuits like this filed against Trump. There were 26 filed against Barack Obama, 7 against George W. Bush, and 15 against Bill Clinton, although those might have been from women. I'm kidding. Gotti. And 15 against Bill Clinton at the same point in their presidencies, according to a report by the Boston Globe. And there's the full document there, if you want to go read it and check it out yourself. But yes, we're now at a point where we can just sue the president. Yeah, I'm mental and I don't like you, and it's really upsetting me. I'm suing you. What? Why aren't lawyers just like, listen, love, what you need is some fucking Thorazine straight to the brain. Just fucking relax.
I diagnose a lobotomy. It's the only thing that can.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer. I'm an attorney, but actually, in my spare time, I specialize in lobotomies. Come right here. So does that, right? So let's just do something serious, and then we can probably wrap the show up. Yeah, go on. We'll talk about this. So Paris. There's some shit going down in Paris, and we've talked a lot about this in result to Evergreen. Let me just see if I can get the BBC report here as well. But basically, there is a feminist festival, okay, in Paris, and it's created by black feminists. It's called the Nyansapo Festival. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, which makes me a white supremacist or something, but whatever. So this festival, which is due to go ahead in July, and here's the BBC report, Sam, before we get to the Guardian piece. Here's the BBC report, which will give you a broad overview about what the festival is looking to achieve, is to talk about black feminist issues, and it's in a very large venue, and 80% of that venue will have exclusionary measures for anybody that isn't a black woman.
What is with this obsession with racial segregation again? Like, as if it's somehow a good thing.
I don't know. And I know enough about France and their approach to things. This will not stand. The French people will absolutely not tolerate this. One thing I will say about the French is, in general, they are very much more politically engaged and politically active than a lot of other Europeans. And I imagine most of them would consider this anti-French. This isn't what France is about. If you look, France is an incredibly diverse country. So there's no way any form of segregation will be tolerated. But anyway, this festival, 80% of the venue is going to be reserved for black women. Black people of any gender can go to another area. So that's black people only. And then they have one little area which is open to all. So the mayor of Paris has come out and said, she reserves the right to prosecute the people behind this because it's discrimination. And actually, there is an anti-racist organization. I mean, this is why I want to touch on this story, because again, with what's happening in Evergreen and everything else, we're starting to see these little glimpses of sanity poking through the madness, and I think it's important we focus on them. So there's a French anti-racist organization called SOS Racisme or Racisme, or I don't even know how you pronounce it. My French is terrible. A lot better with my German. But they said that it is an abomination. And anything that wallows in ethnic separation shouldn't be tolerated. They also have LICRA, the International League Against Racism and Anti-Semitism, said Rosa Parks would turn in her grave. And again, that's a very powerful message. And that's what I mean. French anti-racist organizations get it. When's America going to wake the fuck up and realize that racial segregation is going backwards? So anyway, unfortunately, the far-right National Front got involved, which is like, listen, imagine how fucked up and racist your event is if an anti-racist group and the far-right National Front agree. Think about that. There is no common ground. The anti-racist groups are all about the abolition of the National Front. The National Front want white supremacy and segregation, but they just don't want it on these terms. And now your event is so badly thought out, common ground between two diametrically opposed belief systems. Now, interestingly enough, rather than the owners come out and go, the mayor of Paris has a problem with this, two major anti-racist groups have a problem with this. They're saying Rosa Parks should be turning in their grave. Generally, French people find this a fucking anathema. And there is the fundamental fact that this is racial segregation and therefore discriminatory, no matter how you want to spin the fucking language behind it. They said, guess what they're blaming? It's the go-to of the leftists. Knock this one out the park. They have been a target of a campaign of disinformation and fake news, which was orchestrated by Nazi groups. And they were saddened to see anti-racist associations let themselves be manipulated. Okay? And they said they've got no problem with women-only feminist groups where race isn't stipulated. So now they're just excluding men.
That's reasonable.
We'll downgrade our prejudice. And this is the thing. This festival is going to take place in public property. It is owned by the city of Paris. And it's in a public area. They're saying because of that, the mayor doesn't have jurisdiction. I'm saying because it's a public area, everybody has the right to attend. I'm pretty sure that is going to be the contention. So it is ridiculous to try and defend this. Now, interestingly enough, The Guardian picked up the story and went into a bit more detail. The mayor has called for this festival to be banned outright. And there's some interesting stuff also going on. Like this, apparently the similar group organized a decolonization summer camp, which was a training seminar on anti-racism, which excluded white people by default. If they're the biggest perpetrators of racism, shouldn't they be there? I mean, you can't have it both ways, right? We're going to teach everyone about anti-racism. Oh, you're going to lecture a bunch of white people. No, we ban white people from the group. All right, peace and eject the seat. I'm out. You know, fuck this noise. But there was an interesting Guardian op-ed. Let me just see if I can find it. Was it on? Yeah. Just give me 2 seconds, Sam, because I forgot about this. And this is an interesting thing. There was an op-ed in The Guardian that basically said there is a difference between when you exclude against white people and you exclude against black people. And one is okay and the other isn't. So it's this old argument again, why only white people are capable of racism, and it's okay to be racially prejudiced against white people because it's not racism, it's something else entirely. So let me just find it. Okay, here it is. It's by Charlie Brinkhurst Cuff. Okay, so this is the argument in The Guardian put out as a result of all of this, segregationist nonsense, and in particular this festival in Paris. This opinion piece was put out. There is nothing racist about black-only spaces. Charlie Brinkhurst Cuff. And it says here, I despair. Some white people have got so upset about their exclusion from parts of the Nyan Sapo Festival, an intersectional black feminist gathering scheduled for the 28th to the 30th of July in Paris. Get your tickets now, kids. That the mayor of the city has called for the festival to be banned until organizers clarify details with her, and anti-racist groups have claimed Rosa Parks will be turning in her grave. In the same week, some men have kicked up a fuss about not being able to attend women-only film screenings of Wonder Woman. It's tenuous to throw that in there, but okay. And this is watch this, how she weaves, how this is necessary. Unofficial safe spaces have existed for all denominations for centuries, and self-organizing has long been a key part of anti-racist and feminist movements. As one of the editors for Galdem, a magazine and creative collective written and produced exclusively by women of color, I think about our position of racial exclusivity a lot. In some ways, I appreciate it might be difficult to grasp why such spaces feel so necessary. The simplest way to understand why this festival has elements that aren't open to white people, right, is to acknowledge the racism we suffer in Western society. There's no moving forward unless we accept that racism against people of color is deeply systemic. Well, okay, let's say I do agree. I don't understand how we get to a point of healing if we put all the black people in a room and they talk about their experiences and there's no white people present, nobody of any authority present to hear this and learn from it. It's kind of pointless, isn't it? Like, I don't get how you would target systemic racism, which, again, I contend that while you will still see racist incidents, racist people, racist groups, absolutely. I don't think racism is completely abolished. I'm not stupid. But the idea that it is deeply systemic and we still exist within some sort of racist system in modern day France, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that French society is in itself inherently racist. I do not believe that. Been to France many times, traveled there, been to many esports events, all been there on holidays. I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something because of my whiteness. I don't know. It says here that white spaces, such as far-right groups, are always layered with prejudice and the flawed notion of ethnic superiority. They are made in opposition to diversity and multiculturalism, and that, coupled with the uniquely powerful positions white people hold in society, is why they are unacceptable. Black-only spaces do not exist for the same purpose. Instead, they are founded on the basis of the true lived experiences of struggle. By denying white people entry to them, we are not reflecting existing power structures, we are subverting them. Is any of this making any sense to you? Because it's not making sense to me. I don't
saw
understand.
Something similar, but it was written on a wall in shit in a mental hospital.
Yeah. It comes down again to this. The true subversion that has happened in sociologist academia, which is almost an oxymoron in my opinion, especially these days. But the true subversion has been the definition of racism. It starts there. It starts with this notion that racism is related to power. And it's power plus prejudice divided by race equals racism. It's none of those things. Ask any person of any color who's ever been racially discriminated against, and I'm sure you'll find white people who've had that experience. And you can say, well, those white people, when they were a victim of crime, or a racist assault or whatever, I mean, you still got to go back to being part of the white power. No, regular folks aren't in a power structure. The power structure in America might be inherently white. Again, maybe you can't make the argument that because you had a black president, everything's fixed. Fine. Although I certainly feel we're a lot further forward than we ever have been, while these people tell me we're actually further backwards, and it doesn't tally up with what I see. The facts don't seem to bear this out. But again, just because people in positions of power are white doesn't mean all white people benefit from that power structure. I mean, that's a hell of a leap to get there. The idea that people in the Rust Belt in America, because they are white, are getting a leg up from Donald Trump's administration, when in actual fact he's kind of undercut his base by not doing some of the things he proposed he was going to do, certainly hasn't enacted them yet, and has in fact enacted policies that may well hurt that group. Is that the systemic racism in action? Is that white privilege in action? It's none of those things, is it? You can see immediately how these arguments don't hold up to the evidence. And that's the problem that we've got, that this subversion of the definition creates these antagonistic. This is the problem as well. When did we get to a point where people who agree racism is bad on both sides still use language and still create environments that are so antagonistic of groups who want to help? How is there any potential for progress there? That's the issue I have with all of this language that's coming out of the leftist sociological movement. Things like white privilege, white fragility, these concepts that don't really have any basis in fact, but are being talked about as if they are absolutely real and exist. You could change those. You could change what you mean by those. You could slightly tweak them, certainly change what they're called, and all of a sudden people might get on board. What you do is, when you reject whiteness as part of the conversation, unfortunately, that is going to be antagonistic to a lot of people, not everyone. And you then say, that's just white fragility in action. No, dude, why? Like, to fix racism, everyone's got to come together to fix that problem, right? You can't be exclusionary. Like, have we not learned that? Has history not taught us that? It's a concerted effort. It's the Coca-Cola advert. Everyone holding hands and singing and chanting. It's not separate concentric circles of people of the same color not talking, is it? That wasn't the Coca-Cola advert. So it is patently absurd to suggest that. And yeah, I'm blown away. I'm pretty sure that Paris festival will not be allowed to be exclusionary in that way. I'm pretty sure that'll happen. But I mean, if it doesn't, it's a dangerous precedent. And I don't like this idea of racial segregation at all. Whatever the misguided grounds for it, it doesn't help. It's the same when you put people, well, we'll stick all the people of this race in a ghetto. Does that help? Does that make things better? Of course it doesn't. When the British Empire we'll draw some lines here, and this tribe's over there and this tribe's over there. Did that help? No. Segregation, you can't have it both ways. You can't be proponents of multiculturalism and then talk about segregation. You either believe in segregation, and in which case we accept multiculturalism, all of that stuff can't ever truly be achieved, or we agree that actually that's the kind of thing racists want you to believe, and we just go and get on with our daily lives and take people at face value. I see a lot of, people kind of speaking out about this, and their voices that kind of get droned out, right? Like Morgan Freeman, for example, Everyone loves Morgan Freeman. He keeps saying that this isn't a thing. You know, like, look, I was around when racing, but I look at it now. You know, I'm a guy. I work my way up to the top, and there's no. We got to stop talking about it. We got to stop being so fixated on race. He said this multiple times in multiple interviews. The left completely, it's interesting. They talk about, shared experience. Whenever that shared experience doesn't conform a victim status, they don't want to hear it. They don't let those voices into the conversation. And I think that's really, really fucking sad, because somewhere in the middle, where's the consensus? But I don't like it. I dread a future where literally I can't learn about the black experience or the black or black culture or anything that's black history. I can't learn about it because white people aren't invited to that conversation. How do I ever get a better perspective if you shut me out of things that I can't necessarily understand in their entirety? Right? That's stupid. It's a stupid way of thinking. It's very easily shut down from a logical perspective. So yeah, see, the show got heavy there. It got serious, didn't it? I told you that was going. Got to do a little bit. You know,
walk, mate. Can't all be funny.
Find me another podcast that goes from fucking yourself with a glass dildo filled with dead ashes to riding people around like horses in Poundland to racial segregation in Paris. You find me another podcast that does that. We should probably wrap up the show there. Somebody sent me some links about apparently the Evergreen State College situation is escalating. This is breaking news, but unfortunately it comes from a source that I'm not too comfortable citing. Fact that breaking911.com puts out a lot of misinformation, so unfortunately I'm not going to talk about that until we get more reports. So maybe it'll be on tomorrow's show because it ain't Friday. But just one last thing before we go, and it's again this clamor to make things racist that aren't racist. There's an article again on The Guardian, and this was written by a chap called Jason Wilson. It just blows my mind. We've talked a lot, right, about like the death of comedy. Comedians can't be edgy anymore. And unfortunately, this creates a feedback loop where even people with the right politics, like we saw with Kathy Griffin, now we've created a culture where you can't push the boundaries as a comedian. I think, look, if you're a politician, there's an expectation about how you'll conduct yourself. If you're a comedian, I kind of want you to push the boundaries. I want you to say stuff that's going to shock me, maybe even offend me. I want you to explore what's funny and what isn't in society, and I'm sure you'll get it wrong. But I don't want to come down on someone like a ton of bricks, take their livelihood away, deplatform them, and never see them again just because they told a joke that didn't land. I think that's an incredibly awful environment for comedy to thrive. And that's why if you watch a late-night American talk show, the level of comedy that's on there, it's just like, here's a 10-minute monologue a bunch of liberal comedy writers wrote bashing Trump. Here's a guest plugging a book or a movie. Let's go back to bashing Trump. And all of the jokes are just flat, completely safe. Nobody's really laughing at them. We're laughing at the absurdity of the situation of, and they're all spun completely one way. So comedy is at risk. Critical thought has been slowly eroded and chipped away. Racial equality has been slowly chipped away and subverted to racial segregation. Comedy's dying. And this is mental. This article is so fucking out there that it's almost like it's a comedy pastiche. It's a parody in and of itself. This was an article in The Guardian, okay, an opinion piece, hiding in plain sight. How the alt-right is weaponizing irony to spread fascism. Experts, I don't know who these experts are, experts say the alt-right have stormed mainstream consciousness by using humor and ambiguity as tactics to wrongfoot their opponents. And basically what this article is really saying, it obviously resurrects Pepe momentarily and everything else. What it's saying is that because that there's some sort of genuine connection between a person who, right, oh, you've said Pepe's racist, here he is in a Nazi stormtrooper uniform. They're saying there's a genuine connection between somebody who does something like that and an actual card-carrying, goose-stepping, Holocaust didn't happen, white purity Nazi. They're saying those two people are connected, and basically this person over here believes all of these things, but is using humor to mask it. That's mental. And they talk about the creation of memes, how creating memes and the use of memes. Basically, memes are an internet literate shorthand. Your jokes are flying around so quickly. The news cycle's ticking over so quickly. There's so much shared culture on the internet. And what people do is they can quickly connect a thought process, an ideology, and a joke, and just mash it together with a few words and a picture. And it's really intelligent. And obviously the left fucking hates it. They hate it because they don't understand it. They're not very good at it. Just read this. Dr. Alice Marwick says that fascist tropes first merged with irony in the murkiest corners of the internet. Whenever they use the phrase murkiest corner of the internet, they mean 4chan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all they mean, right? Like, that's as far as they've gone. They've never been on the deep web. They've never infiltrated an actual white supremacist group. They go to 4chan, they look at 4chan, and they go, oh, fucking hell, this is really bad. They don't know the fucking half of it. You think 4chan isn't bad. It's had some bad shit happen on there. You've had killers like, yep, just strangled someone. Here's some photos of it. Like, holy fucking shit, You remember those threads. They fucking stay with you. But that's just because it's an open to all anonymous forum. You're going to get people of all denominations, all stripes, and the occasional fucking lunatic. But yeah, murkiest corners of the internet, 4chan, isn't it? Yeah, that's the one website we went to. Yeah, okay, good. Thanks, Dr. Alice Marwick. And they say here, for the new far-right movement, irony has a strategic function. It allows people to disclaim a real commitment to far-right's ideas while still espousing them. So basically, it's just a prank, bro, is what they're saying. Right? Marwick says that from the early 2000s on message boards like 4chan, calculatedly offensive language and imagery have been used to provoke a strong reaction in outsiders, calling all users fags or creating memes using gross racial stereotypes serves a gatekeeping function in that it keeps people out of these spaces, many of which are very easy to access. I don't see how that's linked to fascism. That's just what you do, isn't it? That's just the 4chan way. If you're a normie, you're not going to like it there. That's the point. And you've got to be a little bit not sensitive if you want to go to forums that are dedicated to trolling and comedy and this kind of thing. But anyway, the whole article again, it regurgitates and recycles the same stuff. It was only wrote last week, and yet it's still talking about Milo Yiannopoulos. It's still talking about the Richard Spencer rally where Jewish people went there and did the Nazi salute for some reason. I don't even understand why that was going on. But they keep, it sort of ends on this ridiculous note where it says, because fascism is more or less a social taboo and is unacceptable in modern society, humor or irony is one of the ways we can use to put forward effective positions without having to say it's our actual ideological position. They're putting forward the anger, the sense of betrayal, the need for revenge, the resentment, the violence. They're putting forward the male fantasies, the desire for a national community, a sense of unity, rejecting Muslims. They're doing all of that, but they're not stating it. Actually, I think you'll find some people do state those things quite openly because that's the power of anonymity on the internet. Nobody hides behind jokes on 4chan. I've seen people who are genuinely white supremacists post there. Some people agree, some people disagree. It's one of the last bastions of open discourse. In fact, 4chan isn't, because 4chan has been ideologically compromised to a certain degree, and certain threads do disappear these days. So comedy, humor, you can't even use a meme now without potentially being linked to Nazis. It's ridiculous. And people write this stuff and believe this stuff. So there, no jokes. There'll be no more jokes, Sam. There'll be no more comedy in the glorious new era. By the way, just to wrap up the show, I do want to show you this. I've got a new bit of housekeeping. Chloe Price, our resident artist, cartoonist, whatever you want to call it, has done an image I think is perfect for our donation animation, if you want to bring it up. I think this is pretty good. Doesn't include you, of course. Should have you at the bottom, like going, so
stealing half the pile.
It's raking in half the pile yourself. I think that's pretty good.
That's good.
So yeah, I think we'll use that for tomorrow's show. But there you have it. So unless you've got anything to bring to the table, Sam, I'm off to ride women around Pound World for like horses, because it was me all along.
No, I'm done, mate.
All right. So
See you
next
week. Nice Friday. Peace.
I'm out. So there you have it. So yeah, that was the show. Thanks very much for tuning in, of course, and all the people who watch live and donated and subscribed. Obviously, go and check on the YouTube channel if you've been unsubscribed. I have been noticing more and more people have been messaging me saying, shit, I was unsubscribed, I didn't even notice it. So go and check. Make sure if you aren't subscribed and you like the show, go and subscribe. Our current VOD is out as well. Go like it. Go fucking put a comment in it. Help get some social engagement. And we are starting to see a mitigation of the losses that we have been getting.
We're coming back.
We're starting to climb again. So if we stick to this, maybe, just maybe, we can hit 100,000 followers this year. And all of our efforts haven't been undone by YouTube. If you're watching the YouTube VOD, thanks very much for doing so. It applies doubly to you. And until tomorrow, where we will no doubt pick up the Evergreen Madness and have some more ridiculousness from across the world and the internet. Until then, take care of yourself. See you tomorrow at the same time.